All right, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. It's great to be out for the first time in over a year and see people, hug faces, and hug bodies and shake hands. So it's a new feeling, but I think we're going to do a good job of it tonight. Oh, I do want to thank the sponsors of tonight's event, the Bank of Tampa, and tonight we do have Oliviana Catrone and Scott. Over here, okay, sorry. Thank you guys for all that you do and all that you have done over all the years for HCMA and our members. And do you want to say a few words? Okay.
Real brief.
You acted like you did.
Yeah, thank you. Oliviana Catrone. It's so good to see so many of you that I haven't had a chance to say hello to yet. But, you know, it's been a few years now that I've been taking the lead on the relationship with HCMA. And thank you to Debbie and Alka and the entire team. We've just had fun over the years. Happy tonight to introduce you to Scott Galt, our Hillsborough County Market President. So many of you may remember Corey over the years saying a few brief words. Tonight we're going to have Scott, who's wonderful, and I'm happy for you to take the time to get to know him.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to say some really brief few words here myself. First off, I just want to thank Dr. and Mrs. Silverfield for having us this evening and hosting the event. It's great to look around this room and see so many faces without masks, especially in the medical community. I have a wife that's a nurse, so I want to thank you all for everything you've done in the past year, becoming healthcare heroes as well in our community. Our bank has had a long, strong history of partnering with the HCMA, and we're really proud of that because you do so much in our community, you do so much great things for our community, and we feel that our bank does well. As well. We try to do some great things in our community, and it's just great to partner up with such a great organization. I can tell you the Tampa Bay region, we're starting to see some great life coming out of this pandemic. We fared this thing very well. The economy here is really strong. Surprisingly, if you asked me a year and a half ago, we were pretty nervous what was going to happen here throughout the region and throughout the nation. But the Tampa Bay region has fared really well. It's shown the resiliency of our businesses here and of our community. So, and you all are a big part of that. So thank you for that, and thank you for the partnership. So happy to be here, and great to meet you all.
I get to be the hello goodbye guy. As usual, Debbie gave me a few talking points, so I will refer to this occasionally. It is my distinct pleasure as the chairman of the Board of Trustees to bid Michael adieu. Michael Cromer served, he was the 117th president of the HCMA. I was president for the inauguration of 112 of those, I think. But it goes without saying that Mike served during a very different sort of year. Our gathering here is sort of exemplifies what kind of a difficult year 2020 has been. I will also say at the beginning of 2020 I had a full head of hair. It's that difficult a year that we've had. As the HCMA's first virtual president, he sort of set the bar and reestablished how many things are done here in the HCMA and in the medical community. A lot of challenges this year. Mike rose to all of them. I will say that, let me go off topic here. Michael is an example of what can be done by those who show an interest. People here are interested in the HCMA. We all understand organized medicine. We all understand you have to get involved to put us in the direction we need to be. Michael was a newbie, just a newbie when I first met him, not more than a couple years ago. It was 4 or 5 years ago, but none of us here are unaware of his level of enthusiasm, his level of involvement and activity, and that spoke to his tremendous interest in the governmental affairs, which is really an area that we probably hadn't been as strong in as we should have been, but with his infusion of enthusiasm, we've really taken off, and that really is where we need to be. And he has set that tone, and Eva Crook has taken the reins and run with him, but Michael has still been very involved in that. And it just shows, we all know involvement is, any organization is run by 5%, running the other 95%. He's been about 4.5% of the 5% within this organization. Due to the pandemic, the HCMA discovered many ways to support members and get our resources. When we partnered with Florida Physicians Alliance, remember this, back at the beginning of the pandemic, to offer vaccines, Mike stepped up. He actually was one of the sites for the administration of the vaccine. Debbie refers to him as very hands-on, as a very hands-on leader. He moderated more than a few of the webinars and the town hall meetings. I mean, that's tough. We all have been through numerous Zoom meetings and conferences this year, and we all know when that camera's pointed right at you, people are staring at you. It's an uncomfortable position, but he wore that well, very well. A new partnership under Michael's tutelage, a new partnership was implemented with Moffitt Cancer Center, growing our HCMA membership to over 2,400 people from Moffitt. And of course, we can't thank Dean Loper enough for the ongoing relationship that the university has with the HCMA. It is a unique and very admired relationship we have, the whole town gown thing, and I don't know that it really exists in many communities like it does in here. We thank Dr. Lockwood for that, and we thank Michael for continuing that. So, not only is Mike going to continue in whatever capacity he continues, certainly he's going to get back involved, whether he wants to or not, in the Government Affairs Committee and in the legislative arena, but he's going to serve as the chair of the HCMA delegation at the FMA meeting this year. For those, I think most of the delegates are probably here, but he is our chair. And also, and I don't know if this is definitely true, because you just started to tell me it might not be, but for those who don't know, Mike may actually turn around and become the president of the HCMA again in a year for 2023-2024. Is that?
Yeah, well, by default, I am the vice president.
Right,
I'm the vice president. And if there's a qualified person that will be happy to step into the presidency, I'm going to let that happen. If not, I'll go through the ascendancy and be president again.
So, would anybody like to volunteer to take?
How come?
It's crickets. I know, I'm in back. Okay.
Hey!
Listen.
Where's Dennis?
Michael, it is my distinct, I've spoken more than long enough, but we could keep talking about everything you've done for the HCMA. It is my distinct pleasure to award you this plaque for your dedicated service to the HCMA. It says, in appreciation for your distinguished service as president, Michael Cromer, MD, and we thank you and look forward to you coming back again. Oh, Michael, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys, and thank you all. It certainly has been my pleasure to be of service. I put as a bar on everything that was done this year under my tutelage with Debbie's and Elka and the rest of the staff's guidance. Does it fit with the mission of the HCMA? And if it fit with the mission of the HCMA, I did my best to pursue it and carry out the services. And I thoroughly enjoyed the year. It's amazing how fast it went. It certainly had its challenges and doing things in a different way, but I had a blast nonetheless. I do want to thank my wife, Carol, who's in the back of the room. Thank you for all your sacrifices, honey. Thank you for allowing me to do what I do. I also look around and I see so many past presidents here, and what a legacy you guys have left to us. I get to join your group now. So, thank you for your services throughout the years and for continually still being involved in the HCMA. I hope 10 years from now, a president sitting up here will look at me and thank me for staying involved too. So thank you guys for your legacy. I also want to thank the staff who were only, as all you presidents know, we're only as good as they make us look, okay? And I want to thank the staff for helping my job be that much easier. Turning the reins over, someone asked me how I felt, and I said I feel pretty good because I got another chance at maybe in a couple years. But also, when you turn it over to someone as qualified as Joe Silverfield, it makes you feel pretty good also. So, Joe, thank you. I've enjoyed working with you, especially over these last couple years. You and I teamed up on a couple things. I enjoy your quips and jokes. I've learned your sarcasm. I look forward to hearing more of it as the years go by. Why don't you come over here and I will install you as the new president. Okay. I hope we don't mess this up. What I'd like to do is repeat the phrase after me. See if we do better than last year. Okay, yes. So to make it official, I need you to raise your right hand. Okay. And then just repeat after me. I solemnly swear.
I solemnly swear
that I shall carry out the duties
that I shall carry out the duties
of the office of the President of the Hillsborough County Medical Association
of the office of the President of the Hillsborough County Medical Association
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I promise my loyalty and dedication,
I promise my loyalty and my dedication,
and I will work in partnership with the physician members of this county.
and I will work in partnership with the physician members of this county.
I shall uphold the Constitution and bylaws of the association at all times,
I shall uphold the Constitution and the bylaws of the association at all times,
and work to accomplish the goal of our mission statement.
and work to accomplish the goals of our mission statement.
To these duties and obligations, I pledge myself.
To these duties and obligations, I pledge myself.
Congratulations, you are duly installed.
Very good. It's going to be some very tough acts to follow. Reminds me of when I look around this room, I think this is the greatest gathering of intellect that's ever been in this home since Joel Madison was here one evening. by himself. So more than 100 years ago, the most famous doctor in Europe was a Dr. Greenberg in Vienna, Austria. At that time, Vienna, Austria was the center of medical culture and sophistication throughout the world. And Dr. Greenberg was famous for all these very wealthy, influential patients, very sophisticated patients. And he would spend a couple of days doing his physical exams on them. So one of them was Baron Rothschild. Baron Rothschild came in. Dr. Greenberg spent 2 entire days going over him in every possible way. And at the end, he told him he was in great health, had much to look forward. And a few minutes later, Dr. Greenberg's assistant came running in and said, Dr. Greenberg, you won't believe this. Baron Rothschild is laying on the stairs, leaving our office, dead. He's dead. He's laying there. What should I do? What should I do? Dr. Greenberg says, turn him around so it appears he's coming in. Anyway, so there we go. That's the story. First of all, I'd like to thank the Bank of Tampa as well, folks. We would not be in this home tonight. Our practice went through some rough sledding in the early 90s. Made a couple of poor decisions. Our old bank abandoned us, and my friend Jerry Divers and some other folks at Bank of Tampa picked our practice up. It was called Tampa Medical Group at that time. You believed in us, and I'm very grateful. We wouldn't be here tonight if it wasn't for you guys, so thank you very, very much. And I want to be very, very brief. You know, we're going through a lot of issues. I was talking to some of the older presidents tonight about physician burnout. I think when many of us went to medical school and became doctors, we thought of medicine as being a calling, not a job. And it's a very different world now. And I've worked with a lot of the younger doctors, and for whatever reason, they're having some rough sledding. So I'm going to be thinking this year, and through Debbie, I give her a lot of the credit for, we've set up a physician burnout program. How can we help our younger doctors, you know, continue being the happy warriors that make us all the doctors that we are? So that's going to be something we look for quite a bit. Now, just a little bit of history. It's interesting. I came down, my wife and I, we had a little baby. We came down in the early 80s. We had no money and no patients, a lot of debt, didn't know anybody in Tampa. We just knew we wanted to get the heck out of Rochester, Minnesota. That was our big goal. So we got here, and so how did you get patients back then? There weren't any patients. It was an interesting thing. So we started taking ER call, and that was what you did back then to get a practice. You would take ER call. And what I would do is go to some of the older doctors and say, you know what, hey, listen, you got a good practice. Would you like for me to take your ER call? And they would give it up, and so that's how you made it. And one of my very first patients was the bearded lady. And she was in the hospital. She was having chest pain, full beard. She worked for Ringling and the Freak Show. And I took care of her, and then her husband, who was the alligator boy. And then my next patient was the man with 2 faces. And then my next one was the fat man. And then my next one, I had multiple dwarfs. You go into my office, you would see dwarfs. You would see people from the sideshows. I even had Grady Stiles, who was called the alligator man. He was murdered by his wife. His wife had an affair. But 3 of my patients were actually on the Jerry Springer Show. It was the highest rated Jerry Springer Show in history. And it was basically the bearded lady and the dwarf were having an affair, and she was married to the fat man. But here's the way it ended. So it's the most famous ending in Jerry Springer history. The fat man is rolling off stage. The dwarf is chasing him, going to whip his butt. So there we go. But anyway, so that's how we got our star here. I was the official doctor for the Ringling Brothers thing for years. So I'll give a more formal speech when we do the installation. But I want to thank Debbie for all the great work she's done. taking this. The only reason that really anyone would want to take this job, it's a huge amount of work, is because of Debbie and her braids and all she's done. Just fabulous. So thank you very much. She is the true CEO. And I want to say something. Elkie makes things run. She's the operating officer. We would not be here without her. And now we've got Annie, who's done a great job as well. We're very lucky to have her, so thank you. And then I'd like to thank David Lubin. He's been given the hardest, he's been charged with the most difficult task we could have, how to make a picture of me look good. So I'm very grateful. But guys, thanks for coming tonight. We're going to have a great year. Oh, and one of the reasons, and this is my wife's idea, you know, in this unusual pandemic year, where would we have had the installation? A lot of places were closed, they were too big, they were too small. And then I remembered back to when I first came to town as a young doctor and joined the HCMA, a lot of the meetings were held in physicians' homes. You know, my first new members meeting was in a doctor's home. Then we had, so it was kind of we thought, and I give my wife a lot of credit for it, we thought we would harken back to those times. It just seems more friendly and personal. Anyway, God bless, we'll have a lot of fun this year.